Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lights Out podcast. We have a very fun PBC show to analyze and discuss, and then we have a very fun heavyweight clash for the ages to preview that's coming up next weekend. But nonetheless, man, we are just hours removed from Rolly Romero versus Teofimo Lopez for the WBA welterweight title. This was the PBC's newest pay-per-view show, and it was, how do I say this? It was everything we thought it would be, good and bad. That's how I would describe Rolly versus Teofimo. It was everything we thought it would be, good and bad. We know they're friends in real life. Clearly, they didn't do too much damage to each other. In fact, I think the winner got the most damage, which is hilarious. But really, to summarize this fight, Rolly was looking solid for the first 4 rounds, I'd say. And then he got tired about halfway through the fight, and Teofimo Lopez just continued to badger him with hits. We saw 2 or 3 power punches from Rolly the whole fight, maybe like solid power punches that connected. So this fight was ultimately a fun fight, a big fight, but it was everything we thought it would be, man. It was definitely there was some PBC bubble wrap on the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure, man. And this is one of those fights where it was very interesting. I'll say this about Rolly, man. Like his game plan, extremely frustrating. Like that's the biggest issue I have with dissecting this fight, like and this main event. What was the plan? Like Rolly had the kind of power that could change the entire fight, and with the one punch, but and he when he saw it, he landed it, but then he just stopped. Like that was really odd. Like I don't understand like what the plan was there. He clearly hurt Lopez, but for the enormous stretches of the fight, Rolly simply just wasn't doing enough. He spent too much time waiting and waiting for the counter, waiting for Lopez to make a mistake, waiting for the perfect opportunity, perfect opportunity, and he just waited too long, bro. Honestly, like, and against a fighter like Lopez, who you can't afford to give away rounds like that, hoping the opportunity eventually arrives. That's not how it's going to work against a guy who's fought against some of the best, like in Josh Taylor and Vasily Lomachenko. Like it's not going to happen against the Puma Lopez. And Rolly just seemed to fight like he was afraid of losing rather than being determined to win. And another thing I noticed was he was not listening to his coaches at all. Like his coaches were getting more and more frustrated as the fight kept going. And the final thing I have to say is that the judge, man, that one judge that had it 114, 114. I don't know how do you score that 114, 114? Like that's beyond me. Like it's I agree with the other two scorecards, like absolutely, but the first one I cannot for the life of me wrap my head around that one. Like that's one of
Yeah,
those
man. The
decisions
scorecards
where
were horrible all night.
oh yeah,
Here,
like
here's my thing. I want to zoom out for a second because this was a huge fight. Rolly versus Telfimo. This is the PBC's biggest fight since Benavidez and Zerto, which was a few months ago. They like to do a handful of shows a year and make them big ones. The PBC does. Obviously, we'll see how that evolves now that they are with DAZN and the rest of the world of boxing is unified. We'll see what that has in terms of an effect on the PBC wise. But man, these scorecards were bad the whole night, man. The whole night. We'll get into that in just a sec. I do want to say this. It was very clear that the time off affected Rolly because Rolly pulled off an impressive feat when he defeated Ryan Garcia with one hand. That is an impressive feat. and we have been wanting to see more of him ever since. And this is when we got to see it, right? This was when we got to see the next chapter of Rolly Romero. It was like 15 months later, and he's taken on Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo just got his ass handed to him by Shakur Stevenson a little over 6 months ago, but I mean, Teofimo Lopez looked like $1 million against Rolly, right? Rolly hasn't been in the ring. Rolly has some ring rust. Teofimo just got the ass whooping of a lifetime, and he's ready to. He doesn't have anything to lose, and I think that's why he won the fight, right? Teofimo didn't drag his
Yeah,
feet.
yeah, and
Rolly
the
had some
fact that
personal reasons, but overall, I think the experience that Teofimo had against Shakur really strengthened him to win this fight against Rolly quite easily.
yeah, and like the fact that Lopez was able to like really like come back a little bit, especially after that huge shot that really rocked him. And even the cornerman was his corner was saying that he needed that round. It was honestly impressive to see him come back and really like take over the fight and really bring the fight to Rolly. I mean, and yeah, like I agree with you on the whole like layoff. Like I think Rolly taking time off really affected him, especially going into this fight. I mean, it really messed him up, and I think he got a little too overconfident with himself too. That's just me though, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, we'll hopefully we'll see more from Rolly Romero sooner rather than later, because I
Yeah,
think he can build himself back up to a big fight. I don't think he's done. I hope not,
no,
at least.
he's not.
Nonetheless,
But
man.
and I don't understand like his game plan. Like I know, and we don't ever discuss faith on this show. It's not what we do. But my problem with Rolly was what was your real game plan? You said that God was going to help you, right? But faith cannot replace a game plan. Like I think Sergio Martinez said it best, man. He said something about like how he thought the whole quiet thing for Rolly was an act, and that I forgot the other part what he said, but it really struck me. And I was like damn, like Sergio's right on like one thing that Rolly like just is like it looked like Rolly just didn't want to be there. Like I don't get it, man. Like I don't understand what was his game plan going in. Like that's the distinction I really want to make. If Rolly truly believes God gave him the gifts to become a world champion, okay, that's fine. And the fact that if he truly believes that he's going to be a Hall of Famer, okay, that's fine too. But if you want to be a Hall of Famer, act like it, fight like it. Like God may have given you the talent, God may have given you the opportunity, but you have to throw the damn punches, man. Like that's my
Hey,
biggest
man.
criticism of that fight, man. And there's nothing against that either. Of course, like it's just a very odd situation, man. Like Rolly, it felt like Rolly allowed himself to lose, but I don't know,
Part
man.
part of me expected Rolly to be in a good headspace for this fight, and it's just clear that he wasn't. Like, it's clear that whatever was keeping him from returning to the ring 10 months ago and 5 months ago is continuing to affect him, and I think he's got some sort of personal journey to go on. And we'll see if that does or does not include boxing. The fans want it to, and I'm sure he wants it to. So I'm hoping he's able to find his footing, return with another fight, and try to get some momentum going for himself. Because
Yeah, for sure.
he looked like he had a bright future a year ago, and now we're a little over 12 months later, and it feels very like dim, and that's sad. That is how boxing works sometimes. But Rolly's still young, man. I think he can do it.
But yeah, man. I
Um,
mean, Lopez was impressive too, man. We can't just sit here and bash Rolly, man. Either we have to like really talk about Teofimo Lopez. I mean, now three division world champion is a hell of a response to that Shakur loss, man.
yeah, man. I would love to see, as you can imagine, if Garcia makes it out, I would like to see Garcia versus Teofimo. And I think
Yeah,
he will. It's hard to tell. That Garcia Ben fight, that's fun. I'm excited for that. That's next month. We'll get into that soon enough. But I do think the winner of Garcia versus Ben should look to get in a fight with the takeover. to unify the WBA and WBC welterweight championship. I mean, that's a big fight right there. And we are coming off a big fight, Rolly and Tail. Tail looks good in it. And then we have a big fight coming up, Garcia versus Ben, and we'll see how that goes. Nonetheless, man, this PBC undercard had three other fights. The co-main was the number 2 middleweight in the world, Yohan Lee Hernandez, soundly defeating Francisco Vernon. This went to the decision. Every single fight on the main card went to the decision, unfortunately. Victor Santillan actually lost the WBA junior featherweight title to Gary Antonio Russell. To me, that was outside of Rolly and Teofimo, I guess that was like one of the more interesting fights on the main card. Was Gary Antonio Russell versus Victor Santillan for the interim WBA junior featherweight title. Gary Antonio Russell getting a big win there, and hopefully we'll see more from him sooner rather than later, of course. And then, of course, to open up the main card in a shocking and questionable decision, Carlos Utria remains undefeated by defeating Israel Mercado. And I know a lot of people online thought that this one went the other way. But nonetheless, man, here's the thing. Here's the big idea. This is the PBC. This is what the PBC has been for a very long time, right? I think out of these four fights, I think one of them was competitive, and it wasn't Rolly versus Teofimo. And it's not their fault that Rolly versus Teofimo wasn't competitive. Obviously, that was a huge fight. But the Yohan Lee Hernandez co-main was lame. And, Carlos Utria versus Israel Mercado, I guess, was competitive. The judges just kind of ruined the legacy of that fight because I was having fun with that fight. But Gary Antonio Russell versus Victor Santillan was, in my opinion, the most competitive fight of the night, and that's saying something. That's like the PBC and all these other promotions like Top Rank and Golden Boy, they're going to continue to do what they do. So there is change happening in boxing, but it's not happening with the current world. It's happening with Zuffa and Turkey Al Sheikh, right?
Mhm.
But somehow
Yeah.
they're finding a way to like do new things, and then anything that isn't new is completely like traditional classic boxing. So if you like that sort of thing, it's still around in full force. We'll wait and see what DAZN looks like in 2 to 4 years. Maybe boxing will look a lot different then. But right now, this felt like any one of the PBC cards that I've seen over the past like 15 to 20 years. Sometimes PBC is really good. Sometimes it's really fun. But I will say I'm starting to have this like stigma around the PBC where I feel like the fights aren't going to be competitive. Where I feel like there's going to be some bullshit with the judges. Like, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but like that's kind of what this felt like.
Yeah. And I want to real quick say something. I actually called Sergio Mora Sergio Martinez. So that's my bad on that one. But let me sound off on this, bro. This was an absolute disgrace. Mercado did not lose that fight like at all, and I damn sure don't know how anybody watched it. And how do you come up with a 97-93 for Carlos Ultria? Like Mercado landed way more punches, more power punches, finished strong, had Ultria backing up, and yet Patricia Moore saw a 6 round difference. 6 rounds? What fight were you watching? Like the arena booed. Mora called that 97-93 card an absolute disgrace. And the fight was so close statistically that Ultra and Mercado were practically even in nearly every category. You want to give Ultra a close decision? Okay, that's fine. We can debate. But 97-93 is one of those cards where it makes us go, come on. Like, you can't be serious. Like, oh my God, it just pisses me off, bro.
Here's the thing, man. I love the PBC. I grew up watching the PBC, and I get really excited for big PBC shows, like more than I do Zuffa cards and anything else, really. And I love Zuffa cards, and I love British boxing. It's incredible. Um, it's just kind of one of those things where there's gonna like I thought stuff like this would become more tolerable when we started to get bigger fights, but it hasn't. I still get just as annoyed when they do some bullshit with the scorecards, or I feel like I watched 4 fights and one of the early ones in the main card is like the only competitive one.
Yeah,
And
I
again,
mean,
I'm not blaming the PBC for how Rolly and Teofimo played out because that's bigger than them. But I feel like the crafting of the undercard was, a little shallow on this one, and it's been a while since we've seen them. So there should be no excuse, in my opinion.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the PBC has always had really strong or like even like really great undercards for a main event that, and sometimes the main event doesn't deliver, but we're still understanding about the undercard. But in this case, it's like you said, very shallow, and that's something we don't see out of the PBC that much. Like it's man, it's confusing.
Yeah, but we'll see what they have in store for us next. I don't think their next show is going to be Isak Cruz, I believe, and that will be either September or October. We'll bring it up when it's ready, when it's time to do so. Let's talk about next weekend though, because next weekend we have an incredible fight. We have a top 6 heavyweight matchup between Moses Itauma and Filip Hrgovic for the IBF heavyweight title. This is going to be a huge fight, man. Moses Itauma is one of the breakout boxers of the past couple of years, especially at heavyweight. He's the young man right now. Like he is the baby face, right? He's the one that everybody wants to see get their first big world championship. But he's got a monster in front of him, brother. He's got Filip Hrgovic that he's got to go through. This fight is going to continue the excellence in British heavyweight boxing that we have been seeing for a very long time. This is the next chapter of that star studded era. And I'm very excited for this fight. What are your thoughts, man? Who do you got?
Man, this is hard because this is again. I think I mentioned it on the show before, where this is one of those coin flip matchups, and I'm just kind of gonna break it down a little bit. This is like we said, this is easily the biggest test of Itama's young career. 21 years old, undefeated, and Hrgovic is already been through the heavyweight contender gauntlet. I mean, wins over Zhang, Joe Joyce, Dempsey McKean, David Adelaide, and his only loss came against Daniel Dubois in 2024. And obviously, Tama, his last fight was a fifth round stoppage again, like we mentioned before, against Jermaine Franklin on the back in March, and Atama dropped Franklin in the third round before finally stopping him with the uppercut in the fifth. So I really, if I'm Atama, you got to use. I have to use. You have to use your speed and your footwork to keep Hrgovic from setting his feet. Don't get dragged into a pure heavyweight boxing firefight. You got to attack Hrgovic's body early. You got to make the older fighter work. As for Filip Hrgovic, obviously he stopped Dave Allen in the third round back in May, and it was his third consecutive victory and his fourth fight in the UK. So you got to make, and my keys to victory is definitely you got to make Itama fight at a slower pace. Use his size and physical strength. Test Itama's ability to fight deep in a championship bout and really force Itama to exchange. And the one thing I'm really looking for is can Itama handle a real heavyweight contender for 12 rounds? That is the biggest question. We've already seen Itama's power. We've seen the speed, the combos. We've seen him destroy opponents, but Filip Hrgovic is completely different. This is a fight where we find out whether Itama can still look like the better fighter when the other guy is experienced, physically strong, and capable of taking best shots. So, and as for Hrgovic, man, like this could really be his chance to finally turn his his reputation into a world championship. So, with all that being said, I'm going. I'm going with the 21-year-old Itauma, bro. I don't expect this to be easy, but my right now, my early guess and my early lean, I'm taking Moses Itauma.
It's really hard to say. I can see
Hard, bro.
Moses Satama like getting this win, but Philip Hrgovic, man, he is no joke, and he has been waiting for an opportunity like this. A lot of guys have, and now they have him. And we're gonna see how this unravels. It's almost a good thing that Usyk relinquished all the belts in the heavyweight division, because now we get to have this big title fight. I'm sure the new WBC heavyweight champion will be in a fight soon. I think Frank Sanchez is awaiting the winner of Itama versus Hrgovic. That's what it sounds like. Um, and yeah, there's just a lot to be done now. Plus, we got. It sounds like we're gonna get the rematch between Fabio Wardley and Daniel Dubois soon enough. By the end of the year, it sounds like, if not early 2027. And that's another huge British heavyweight clash. So, and then we got Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua happening at some point eventually, whenever they figure out the money aspect of it. Nonetheless, man, yeah, I'm excited. I think the winner has big things waiting for them. I think Frank Sanchez will take on the winner of this fight um, late this year, if not early next year. And then from there, we'll be able to seek a unification bout for whoever's standing. So it's between Itama Hrgovic and then Frank Sanchez is waiting for the winner. And whoever has the IBF heavyweight title coming out of those two fights will probably be looking for what's his name? He was just elevated to WBC champion. Help me out.
Oh, man, oh my God, what was his name?
He was supposed to fight Usyk. Shit.
Oh man, this is a rare time where we have to use Google, people. So
Total brain fart, dude. I usually know this guy's name. It's
it's what the hell is his name? What the fuck? Is it? Oh, Caballero.
yeah, Ajit
Caballero.
Caballero.
Ajit
Ajit
Caballero.
Caballero. I'm sure he'll have a fight. People are calling for Caballero versus Rico Verhoeven. I want to see more of Rico Verhoeven in heavyweight boxing. I
Oh yeah,
do.
me too.
I want to see more of him, so I would like to see that. That would be great. Nonetheless, man, we got Atama versus Hrgovic coming up this weekend. That undercard for Atama versus Hrgovic is it's a 5 fight main card, of course, main event being Itama versus Hrgovic. Looks like the co-main is going to be Konstantin Ursu versus Ben Vahan for the British and Commonwealth welterweight championships. And then we have Sam Noakes taking on Dennis Baranchik. Alois Yombi taking on Mike Perez in cruiserweight, and then we have an 8-round heavyweight fight to open up the main card between Guido Vianello and Moses Jolly. So, these undercards are usually fat for a big British heavyweight showdown, and I feel the same way about this undercard. We're gonna see who's able to make themselves a star on this undercard. The cool thing about British boxing is it's so active right now and populated to the point where you're like, all right, whose name am I going to remember from this undercard? And then it's just so fruitful. Like, there's so many good fighters in the UK right now. And I'll be excited to see who is able to make a name of themselves on this undercard.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, that's definitely. I'm excited to see Sam Noakes, and I'm excited to see Sam Noakes for sure, man. I think this kid has a lot to prove, and I think he bounced back from the first loss of his career with a second round TKO against Benito Sanchez Garcia back in May. So let's see how he does. I think, and then obviously Denise Biranchuk. I hope I said it right. If I how do you say his name? I'm so sorry. I'm terrible with names.
Baranchik, I don't know.
Baranchik. There you go. I mean, obviously, he hasn't fought since February 2025 when Keyshawn Davis stopped him at in the fourth round and took his WBO lightweight title. But before that, being chick at I can't fuck beer and chick. There you go. Had stopped Navarrete by split decision to win the title. So that's the fight I'm definitely looking forward to on this card, man, for sure. And I apologize if I butchered his name.
That's not a big deal. But I wouldn't be surprised if that fight ends up actually being the co-main. Because I actually thought that the Gary Antonio Russell versus Victor Santillan fight was going to be the co-main, but that ended up being like the second fight on the main card. So you never know, man. It could be Noakes versus Baranchik for in the co-main, or Ursu versus Vahan for
Yeah,
those belts. Either
yeah.
or, co-main will be good. I'm sure both fights will be fantastic.
Oh yeah, it'll be. We're in
So
for a fun time, bro, for sure.
it'll be interesting. Next episode to see how we felt about this undercard compared to the PBC undercard on Rolly versus Teofimo, right? And yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it feels like the PBC is just gonna sit as a side piece on the zone. You know what I mean? And it feels like the real future of boxing is in the UK, where it's been for a while now, right? I
Hmm.
think Top Rank understands how to operate in this new world of boxing, and they're really doing so, which is why they'll have some solid fight nights every once in a while. Like it feels like Top Rank is like the integration of many US fighters into the UK scene, which is more plentiful right now. Having stuff at the United States more often than the zone used to, at a bigger level, of course. So yeah, I really think it's going to take some time to understand and get used to what this world of boxing is turning into. It's turning into something great. It's turning into something incredible right now.
Yeah,
But
and then there's some key. There's some interesting things that we don't understand, and that we'll probably start to understand as time goes on. I'm sure. Like, I mean, why are certain fighters not fighting these fighters, or like why are the judges seeing it this way and that way? Like, I mean, that's the beauty of boxing, right? I mean, we get to see like from all these different perspectives. So I think as time goes on, man, I think the sport is just going to evolve, and we'll be here for it, man. I think, and we're in a good spot. I think, like we said, we're in a really incredible spot for boxing.
yeah, we definitely are. We definitely are. And I'm excited for this heavyweight fight that's coming up. And then September is going to have some bangers for sure. You got that big Zuffa card with Ryan Garcia in the main event. You got um shit, there was one other thing I can't remember off the top of my head, but oh well.
That's the
We
beauty
talked
of
a
it.
lot
Though.
about PBC, and then we talked about that Queensberry show that's going to be happening, right? We got that Queensberry show coming up this weekend. But we also have had a lot of movement from MVP Women's. Okay, Amanda Serrano was able to defend her Ring Magazine and Unified Featherweight Championship this past weekend, and then this upcoming weekend, the same day as Moses Itauma versus Philip Hrgovic, probably, if you live in the United States, Itauma versus Hrgovic will probably be midday, right, coming out of the UK, and then this MVP Women's show will be in the evening. And Ring Magazine's matchups of the month has listed the co-main and main event for this upcoming MVP Women's card, and that is Carolina Dubois versus Amelia Moore for the Ring and Unified Lightweight Championship, and then of course Michaela Meyer versus Chantel Cameron for the Unified Middleweight Championship. Two big women's boxing fights coming up soon. And then of course Moses Atama versus Filip Hrgovic. We will be back to preview the big shows of September next week. Uh, and of course, soon enough, we will get the September matchups of the month by Ring Magazine. I have been having so much fun with this show because we get to get on here every weekend at this point and analyze a very big show, whether it's Zuffa, UFC, PBC, Queensberry, which is coming up, right? If you got a subscription to Paramount Plus and you got a subscription to DAZN, you are a fight fan. That's it. It was never this like easy for us growing up, right, Ant? Like it was
No,
never this
hell no,
easy.
hell no, dude. Like pay per views, dude. I would have to either when I was a kid, I would either have to go like to somebody else's house to watch pay per view, or have to, or just like watch the undercard and then just like wait for the results the next day.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. We're living in a good time, man. We're living in a
Yeah,
good
man.
time.
And then that's the beauty of the show, bro. I mean, we can and set you off camera, bro. That we can like screw up and like we're still have fun with this, bro. Like, I mean, I get a real enjoyment out of doing this, man. Like, this is a lot of fun for me, and this it changes a lot of my perspective on boxing a lot, bro. Like, it gives me a whole new whole new world to like see in boxing and MMA. Like, this is a great time to be alive, bro. Honestly, like I always say, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. But that's all we got for today's show. We'll be back next weekend to talk about Moses Itauma versus Philip Hrgovic, IBF heavyweight title, and preview the big shows to keep your eye out for September. All right, man. It's a Sunday. I'm going to go kick back and relax. I'm very tired. This
That's
has been
fair.
the Lights Out podcast, man. I'm with my boy Ant here. Do something with your life, you little bitch.
Boom. Woo. Let's go.